Hi, I'm Jim Leahy. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Orange Board of Finance. There's been a situation in town that you may have already heard about, that the Orange Carnival has been canceled. That has had a significant impact on the Orange Volunteer Fire Department, and all of the members of the Orange Board of Finance are now sponsoring a project, and that project is the Fire Truck $50,000 Challenge. This is a second video. I've had the good fortune to be with Fire Chief Vaughn Dumas, and I got the name right this time. Chief, good to be with you.
Thank you, Jim.
Good. I'm going to read to you something. It's in the problem statement. You know, I do things more formally in my career, project charters for teams. I want your thoughts on this. Due to the COVID-19 situation and current edicts from the state of Connecticut, the Orange Volunteer Firemen's Association canceled its annual August festival in 2020. The OVFD rely on the carnival for funding the costs associated with its operations.
That's correct. There's a lot of planning that goes on to put this event together. It's the largest carnival in the area. Mm-hmm. So when COVID-19 hit and all of the restrictions and social distancing rules were put in place, we didn't know just how long that was going to be in place for. We didn't know what social distancing was going to look like in August.
Right.
So we had to make a decision in May whether or not we can move forward with our carnival.
Wow.
So we met with our committee, we phoned the carnival organization that we contract with each year, and we had to make the very tough decision, because we didn't know what things were going to look like in August, to take into account the safety of the public, the safety of our volunteer firefighters, and cancel the event this year.
One of the things that we have done, the Orange Board of Finance, we see so much volunteerism in town. Obviously, the department is in Exhibit A, but there's a lot of others that are out there, volunteers. And so we're seeing this as a call for citizens to participate. But tell me a little more about the name, the Fire Truck 50K Challenge.
So we had a 1978 Mack fire apparatus that was still in service.
78?
Yes, 1978.
Wow.
Was still in service. It still passed all of its pump tests. It was still passing all of its mechanical tests. It had been well taken care of. And we had to replace it because it no longer met NFPA and OSHA standard requirements, being that it had an open cab configuration. The firefighters who were seated in the rear portion of the truck were not protected by closed doors. So in order to be compliant, we had to replace that apparatus with another apparatus that meets today's standards and best fits the needs of the community of the town of Orange and the Orange Fire Department. And what we elected to do is get a 75-foot single axle quint apparatus. I say quint because it has 5 capabilities with it.
Right.
This is an aerial device that would be able to go into the long driveways of homes up north, because the 100-foot aerial dual axle could not do that without damaging the driveway.
Okay.
And because of the size of it. So we elected to buy this apparatus to protect and respond to the homes in the north end of town where there's long driveways, large homes. A lot of people think of aerial devices for height. Mm-hmm. If you know anything about the fire service, fire suppression, or rescue, it's not so much the height, it's the reach. So we may have a 100-foot aerial apparatus that has to park safety for collapse zones anywhere from 30 to 40 feet away from the building. Now you're taking away the length of the ladder for reach. Mm-hmm. So that was the need that we determined for the community, for the fire department, to be effective to do the job that we need to do to rescue people and suppress fires. That apparatus cost almost $1 million. So we did something new, something the department has never done before. We purchased it by a lease plan, meaning that at the end of the lease, we own the apparatus versus taking a loan from a bank. And the benefits of that were 2 things. One is it targets 501c3 nonprofit organizations such as ourselves, and it's a lower percentage rate. And the second thing is that it allowed us to choose the amount of payment that we wanted to make, how often we wanted to make it, and the length of the lease. Whereas a loan, you'd have a monthly payment,
Right.
and they tell you how long they're going to give you the loan for.
Okay.
So we opted to make two $50,000 payments a year.
Okay.
And this year, because of the carnival, our $50,000 payment we had scheduled for October. We knew the carnival's in August. We would have the money to make that payment in October.
Right.
Because we're not having that carnival, we don't have that revenue generated. So now, thanks to the Board of Finance, you gentlemen recognized what we needed and what this organization needed, and we're heading towards a goal to be able to achieve and make that payment.
Well, actually, we're hopeful that we overachieve the goal, but you got to have a target, and that's what we came up with. I appreciate the story. Let's go back to revenue. I like that concept because my understanding, and I want you to elaborate, is that this carnival is a major component. Not having the carnival is not just, it's actually more than 50 grand, but the specifics, I'd like you to elaborate because I understand you get money from the town, you get money from events, but the
Correct.
carnival is the big one, as I understand it.
So the carnival makes up over a third of our budget.
Wow.
We are responsible as an organization to purchase and maintain apparatus. We are responsible to purchase turnout equipment, fire gear for our responders. We are responsible to maintain the radio system that we use to communicate to each other and to dispatch.
Right.
We are responsible to maintain and upkeep of 2 fire stations.
Right.
And there are several other recurring costs that we have to keep these apparatus certified to respond to calls in the community.
Right.
Some of those things are an annual pump test, annual hose testing, ground ladder testing, aerial testing. The rescue tools that we use, the Jaws of Life, have to be tested
So
each
all
year.
these are in the cost side of your operation.
All of these are annual recurring costs, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now, in a sense, because you don't have the carnival, if I understand this right, you don't have the carnival, so therefore you're missing a big component of your revenue.
Yes, this is definitely making an impact on our organization and the ability to comfortably pay for all of the expenses I just mentioned.
So help me understand if I'm way off. So whereas it's a little bit of role reversal here, you, the fire department, go to protect fires and alarms and other things in the community, residents and business.
Correct.
And now the fire is on your budget.
Absolutely, yes. And we need an extinguisher to help us out.
And that's what this project is, and that's why we call it the Fire Truck 50K Challenge. I hear you.
I just would like to mention the organization does a lot more in the community than just fires. We participate, we are neighbors helping neighbors. That's our motto, that's what we do. So we participate in many things across the community. From scout nights, we have scouts come in and learn what it's like to be a firefighter. We let them hold a fire hose. We have the annual Santa's Helper event that kids, parents, adults alike enjoy across the holiday season. We donate to Food for Kids, for school lunches, for people who are unable to pay for their foods. We donate annually. We take up a collection at our holiday party, and we donate all the funds to that to the Yale Children's Hospital. And what that does is it provides any child who is in the hospital during the holiday season, it provides them money to provide those children gifts so they have something in the hospital. So we give back to the community as well. So we not only in the response and rescue or in their time of need, but we do it on a proactive basis to help people out in other different times of needs than emergencies.
We're going to get to the point where we talk about the website where we have the GoFundMe page. But one of the things, and I remembered seeing in the GoFundMe page and in the literature, and I'll just read, Neighbors Helping Neighbors is a slogan that the Orange Volunteer Fire Association has lived by since its formation in 1925.
1925.
When the alarm goes off, our neighbors in the Orange Volunteer Fire Department come to our assistance, saving property and, more importantly, saving lives. That's over 90 years. Tell me more about that.
We are celebrating our 95th anniversary this year, and we had several events planned to help spread that word through the community, to have the community come and participate and come to the firehouses. We planned on open house events. We planned on a dinner event, and all of that stuff has been impacted by this pandemic. So in 1925, actually February of 1925, the organization was formed. And that, at that time, was all neighbors in the community. In fact, I hear stories from some of the veterans. We have members who are here more than 50 years.
Wow.
They perform functions that are needed. There's several different functions that we perform other than fighting fires or even at fire scenes. There's support functions that are required. But I hear stories how there was a phone tree where the wives were responsible to call 3 people, and those wives were responsible to call 3 people to get the word out that there was a fire in town and the volunteer firefighters needed to get the apparatus and respond to. And that's prior to having a radio system.
Wow. They found a way.
Correct. The first firehouse was where the Orange Center stores are.
Okay.
And then in 1944, the WPA built the main portion of fire headquarters, which is on Orange Center Road next to Town Hall.
Yeah, yep.
And when I say the main portion, I mean the 3 bay doors to the left. In 1964, the volunteers did some fund drive, and they built the addition to the right, that 1 door to the right. And the reason why that was needed is because apparatus today and in the 60s began to get bigger. And they're getting bigger and bigger, and the apparatus didn't fit in those 3 bay doors anymore. So specifically right now, we have 1 apparatus in there that is special order to fit in there. And we have the antique, we have a 1950 antique that's original to the department that we maintain and bring to the parades, and we have a trailer in there. So the Neighbors Helping Neighbors slogan grew. It now has a 3-part component to it. And when we say Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and its initial meaning was your next door neighbor could be the guy getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, getting in his car and driving out to go to a fire, or leaving his birthday party or a holiday dinner to go to a fire. Today, that has grown to mean a few different things. We frequently mutual aid to the towns of Woodbridge, the city of Derby, the city of Milford, and the city of West Haven.
Okay.
When they have a large incident or when they need additional resources.
You call that mutual aid?
We call that mutual aid,
Okay.
yes. So we tend to go and assist when they have a large incident and need additional resources to mitigate. We also now have members who live in bordering towns of Orange. So the Neighbors Helping Neighbors has grown for this organization to include the communities that touch our borders. And members of those communities that touch our borders.
That's interesting. As a matter of fact, it leads to my next question, but I have to confess that a young gentleman that worked with me over at Sikorsky helped put one of those Neighbors Helping Neighbors on my car the other day.
Yes,
And it was fascinating. But let me ask a question about, so who are these people? Tell me more about the people in the Orange Volunteer Fire Department.
So we are a membership of 60 plus strong. We have men and women.
Yep.
All of the members are all volunteer.
Right.
Nobody gets a stipend or pay for doing the job here. They all have careers, professions outside of this organization. Some are career firefighters. We have one gentleman who is on FDNY, and we have several others who are on local municipal fire departments who live in the town, who have chosen to become members of this organization. We have doctors, we have a teacher, we have police officers, we have mechanics, we have people of all walks of life who are members of this organization. And how does that help us? Well, when we have somebody who's a carpenter by trade and he's a member here and we need something fixed or built, he does that for us, or he helps guide us to do that. Teachers, they are used to presenting in front of people. We do a lot of training, so they can stand up in front of the group and teach us things. We have people who, some may be retired, and come down and help us. We have one particular member who is a retired career firefighter who joined us after his retirement, and he just loves to come down to the firehouse and tinker around with things, fix things, clean things, adjust things. He's a blessing to us because he's able to come down. He retired at a young age, still can come down, still can perform, drive the apparatus to calls, and he has the time to do extra things for us. So there's all walks of life that are members of this organization, and they range in age from 18, which is the minimum age, to 80.
Well, I may be joining, but you won't be getting me to drive one of these trucks, but I think I can help out.
There are a lot of things that people can do other than driving an apparatus or going into a burning building. When we get a call, there is the need for rehab, there's a need to set up lights, there's a need to block roads, there's a need to do anything. If anybody's interested and wants to learn more about that, go to the Orange Volunteer website and look at that, and there's a whole
You touched on some of the activities he would provide, but there's also services as well as the activities. Without getting into too much detail, tell me a few more things that you would like to share.
So we've become supplemental first responders.
Okay.
And when the Orange Police Department, who are the primary first responders, if their resources are tapped, because there's a lot of events going on, actually what we see going on in society today that can happen very easily, if there's a need for assistance to respond to medical calls, we have 22 EMTs and 4 paramedics that are members of the organization.
Really? 22?
22 EMTs and 4 paramedics.
Wow.
And we have recently just renewed our license. This is the 3rd year.
Right.
And we have 3 apparatus who have medical equipment, AEDs, and can respond to a medical call. In addition, when we go to the Mare Parkway or I-95 for crashes, and the medical unit is sent up there, Med 55 is the flight car, if there's more than one person injured, we're capable of helping the injured as well as performing the rescue functions that might be needed.
This is heavy-duty stuff.
Yes, yes, sir.
Wow. So let's flip it on the other side. Okay, these are the activities. So I want you to give you a shot at telling the people in the town the benefits of having this organization. Just if I had to tick a few.
So there's a lot of benefits to keeping us in this organization. First thing is we're free.
Yep.
We're not costing anybody any money to operate. Yes, we're asking to help support us financially at this point, but it's rare. It's a rare occasion, and we're at extreme measures right now.
Right.
We provide training and education to the public. We go to the country fair. We have public education events.
Yep.
We go into the schools. We teach about fire safety. As I mentioned before, we have the scouts come in. We have 2 scout nights, one for the Boy Scouts, one for the Girl Scouts. And they come in, they learn what it's like to be a firefighter, handle a fire hose. We educate the public. We go to Home Depot when they have their fire safety day, and we help educate people on where to put their smoke alarms, their carbon monoxide detectors. We've been successful in the past in achieving grants, and we had taken over 3,000 smoke detectors on a grant, and we were able to provide them to the community free of charge. And some of us, including the fire marshal's office, went out to help the people install them in the right locations in their home.
You mentioned, and again, you touched on it earlier, about how residents can help, and this not only touches into, and we'll get to the GoFundMe and the $50,000 challenge, but what are, just tick off a couple of more ways. How could I help, for example?
Jim, you've done a lot. I can say that you've done a lot.
No, I'm not talking about this project. I'm
right.
talking about, how could a guy like me, I'm retired now, but anybody, how can they help?
Well, you can come down and help in many ways, like I mentioned. We do a lot of things. We're responsible for a lot of things, maintaining the firehouses, maintaining the apparatus. Just for this event alone, we had to make signs, things of that nature. Mechanical abilities to fix things, engineering abilities to develop things that might do our job easier. There's a lot of ways that somebody can help the fire department.
Okay. And they could contact you if they wanted to be in.
They can go to our website. There's a information tab there on how to join. If they have questions or they wanted to do something other than being a firefighter and they had some spare time to maybe help out to do some administrative functions, maybe help us track some records. Like I do a lot of statistical data.
Okay.
And I try to take our fire call data and divide that up and try to figure out what part of town is the most active.
Right.
What can we do proactively to address the high volume of calls and where they are.
Right, right.
So statistical data, things of that nature, anybody can come and help and do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you, because I remember in one of the budget meetings, I was asking questions about the fire marshal at the time, how many false alarms we get from businesses on the post road, and come to find out, and in my judgment, if they were repeat offenders, I don't think that thing should be free. But we get off topic here.
Right, right. So I can tell you that fire alarms, false fire alarms, are down 13% in the last year.
Good.
Fire calls were up almost 20%.
Really?
We had, and that's without any storms. Usually when there's storms or hurricanes, we get high volume wires down.
Yep.
But yeah, so actual incidents of fire and car crashes are up. False alarms are down.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to switch gears now, and I'd like to go to the talk about the actual effort that we're doing for the $50,000 challenge, and we've set up this GoFundMe page, and it's a very convenient way to. But what have you heard in your own experience with GoFundMe?
So, I found out that GoFundMe had allowed for private nonprofit organizations a decreased membership percentage. Right. We all know that they take a little bit of a percentage. That helps us out quite a bit. It's easier to use because of a couple of reasons. A lot of people don't really go around with cash anymore.
Yep.
Some people don't even bother writing checks anymore. Everything is electronic deposits, electronic payments.
Okay.
So the GoFundMe that we chose and the effort that we chose allows for a credit card payment, a PayPal payment if you have a PayPal account, or you can write a check and send it into the fire department directly.
Okay, well that's good. I'm also noticing that you've been able to get a button, I'll call it, on the town website.
Yes.
All right, so how does that operate?
Another thanks to your efforts.
And
on the
Rick
town
Roberts, to say
website,
the least.
on the town website, there is a button that you can click. It brings you directly to the GoFundMe page and walks you through the process to make a donation.
Okay.
There's also that same link on our website, and there's also the link on Facebook through the Orange Volunteer Fire Facebook page.
So listen, if we're at the point where we could just interject, you know, large or small, the key here is participation. We do have some leadership sponsor levels that we'd like to spike out, but any contribution would be helpful. As a matter of fact, in terms of leadership sponsors, we have 3. We have what we call the 2%. The 2% Club initiated when I came up with the crazy idea that if you could give $1,000, that would be 2% of the total. So we created a 2% Club out there for anybody who's interested. And also there is a gold level leadership sponsorship, $2,500, and platinum at $5,000, perhaps these more business oriented. And you get benefits for those. But I can only speak for myself, but the way I got myself to check this off was the following. I know reverse logic never usually works, but maybe it's from getting through the 20th mile of a marathon a few times. You just create mental tricks, and those are these. So I lost $30,000 in the recent decline in the stock market. This is a true story. I've told you the story.
Yes.
And I said to myself, oh, $30,000, I can't afford $1,000, and I couldn't. But I said to myself, well, what if your broker said, oh, I called and made a mistake. You actually lost $31,000. I would have said, well, that's just a rounding error. And then my brain said, wait a minute. If I could respond that way to my broker, I could write a check for $1,000, lose 30, and I'll be in the same position. Tricks of the mind. So however you do it, we're looking for people, and you can see the benefit levels. You could see that there's decals we're going to be showing. We're going to be publishing the names of anybody on the leadership sponsored and obviously in the lists. And the list goes on and on. Free truck rides for the higher level ones. And someone could host a party at the highest level here at the firehouse, as well as having a special meeting with the Orange Volunteer Fire Department leadership. Now, Chief, I want to talk to you about getting the word out. I've created this little framework. I think I've shared it with you. And we've talked about how, whether you're a civic group, a commission, a committee, a church, places of worship, a community group, a board, or any social media, if you're watching this particular video right now, you have the link, and you can send out this as a way to spread the word. So what we did, first of all, to just let you know our strategy, is we first did an initial lodge 2 weeks ago, well, June 3rd, by the time anybody sees this, at whatever time of day it is. And we sent it out to what we thought would make it best for in town, the two political committees, the Democratic Town Committee and the Republican Town Committee. I wanted to make sure this was absolutely not political. And then we want everybody from there forward, what we call the booster stage we're now in, and that is for sharing in any of those environments, right? So for example, if you're in the Lions Club, the Rotary, the Orange Chamber, the Masons, whatever, and you have a list of people you can share it with, send them the link to this video. If you're on the Park and Rec and you're involved in this town and you believe that what we're telling you is worthy, please send out this video to them so they're aware of it. Awareness, you can build a crescendo all by yourself. Same thing for the places of worship. The community groups, the PTOs have been terrific so far, all right? The Little League, even though I know they're not playing, all right? Silverbrook, Firestone, Fieldstone, wherever. Send it out to your friends, all right? Be a booster to this effort. Same thing on the boards. I know that the Orange Board of Education sent one out just yesterday, and that had a significant increase in the value. And then, of course, the social media. And Lord knows the young people could be doing a great job of this. If you leave it for me, how to use social media, it'll be a long time coming. So, Chief, I just wanted to get that word in as part and parcel of this. One thing I would want to emphasize before I turn it back over to you, Chief. Here are our goals. We want to collect volunteer contributions from residents and businesses in light of this carnival being canceled and the impact the Chief has shared with us on his budget, all right, his revenue side of his budget. Well, our goal is $50,000, but we really want to think we could do more. And all the money is going straight to the department, the association, right?
Yes.
This is separate from the raffle. The raffle is another funding source for you.
Correct.
Right, but this is a separate effort. But again, all the money goes to the volunteer fire department. And I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. Chief, I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover, but I give you, final word.
My final word is thank you very much for all you and your committee is doing for us. Thank you to the community for all of their support in the past years, the carnival, the raffle, and the continued support, whether it be through the GoFundMe, the raffle, or any other event that you may help us provide the service to your community. I can't thank you enough. We're here for you. Anytime you need something from us, just call.
How about an air high five or something?
An air high five.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.